So now let's have a look at this, Anna. This is a very, very interesting one here. I've got my partner is having an affair, but he says he loves us both. Will he end it with her, or should I move on? Now, I asked Spirit about this, Anna, earlier, and why you've got this in your life. It's really interesting, isn't it? And the first reason is you've got this in your life because you're putting up with it. So as long as you put up with that situation, it can't go away. So you're tolerating the situation, yeah? I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but the question is, why have I got this in my life? And that is the answer that came from Spirit, because you're willing to put up with this. Whatever we are willing to put up with and tolerate, we get more of. Yeah. So if you need to stand your ground and say, this is intolerable for me, I am not staying in this, something has to change. Yeah, that's the first step. Second step is, when I ask Spirit, and I'm not suggesting you're going to like hearing this, you might not. I did not get the information that he will stop. Because he's had his cake and eat it, he thinks it's okay to continue the way he is. And so you are faced with that, yeah? And also, you have a very deep-seated fear of losing this man. And this is what you need to address, Anna. You need to overcome that fear of losing him and heal that fear of losing him. That's why all this is happening to you. And this is happening to you for you to gain strength and become more certain of who you are and what you will and won't put up with.
Yeah.
That was quite a good question there, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Rimini has actually messaged as well to make sure that we got her. So can we answer Rimini, please?
Yes, you're talking to me, Rimini, about your career. It was taking off rapidly, and now it seems much slower. And it's slowed down, if that's true. Why has that happened? Sometimes when things start to become very successful, we can sabotage ourselves and make things go wrong. And then they will slow down, yeah? And I do believe that there was a bit of that in your case that happened. Also, the people that were working with you before seem to be absent now. They don't seem to be so present. So you're going to need new partners and you need new energy to come in. And thirdly, when I spoke to Spirit about this, they said that there's too much need for this. You're too needy of this to actually happen. Now, you know that when we want something very badly and when we need it very badly, we actually push it away. So it's almost like your need to try and get it is actually pushing that very thing that you want badly away. Yeah. So there is a fear inside you of not getting this thing, not getting the success. And I've got here, when I ask Spirit, it goes right back to some part of you is very needy of this to the extent you don't think you're going to survive if you don't get it. So that's something that needs to be healed, yeah? And I know you're on the healing call tomorrow evening, as far as I know, so we can get that cleared tomorrow. It's to do with survival, which is a really, really, really big driver. Okay.
Yeah. I suppose something that I get asked a lot is, does the healing interfere with, like, destiny? Like your destiny and your path? I get asked that a lot.
I think before you incarnate that you have got a blueprint of what's going to happen to your life. And if you talk to any astrologer or you study any astrology or numerology, they will quite succinctly be able to tell you a lot of things that are inclinations or tendencies for you to have happen in your life. So, for example, I was born with a small, slim body with blonde hair, and not very tall, and a certain level of intelligence, yes, in an English background, a certain background of family. Now, I am not the same as a man who's 6'2", who's got dark hair, a big chest, and is an athlete. And we are living very different paths by virtue of the fact of the decision we made before we were born, according to what you are trying to not replicate, but improve from your last experience, trying to improve, yeah? So he will have very different experiences from me, even as far as getting on the underground. His experience will be totally different from mine. He'll be able to see over the top of everyone, and his whole life will be led from that point of having a lot more physical strength, and I'm a small person. I have to rely on other people to do things for me more than he would, and I'm going to be less of a threat, aren't I? Because people are not going to see me as a threat. He could be seen as a threat because of his size. So if you look at all these differentiations, is that a word? Differences, all these differences, I sound like an American now, don't I? All the big words. If you look at all these differences, you will see that you come from a certain social background. You have brothers or sisters, or you don't. You have a certain body type. You have certain looks. You have a certain level of intelligence that was born into you. And even the children that get the least help from their parents, if they're hyper bright, will still rise to the top of the class. So you were born with all these tendencies inside you. And this time you were also born with a spiritual path, knowing that you're on a spiritual path. And many of you obviously know that you're here to clear what's in the way and to move on. So where does the healing sit with that and your destiny? What the healing will do is it will speed your destiny up. It will speed you up. So for example, if we go back to Rimini, and Rimini clears her fear. Oh, excuse me, someone, I've been drinking this orange juice here. If Rimini, you go back to your fear, your survival fear, which is very powerful, which makes you drive very hard to get the success. Yeah. If that's healed and that is relaxed, and you are more relaxed about your career is like 100% more likely to just come more easily. Yeah. So that will shift your destiny because it will move it forward faster. Now, the question is, did you agree to have all the healing before you incarnated? And the only way that you would find that out is by asking Spirit directly. Did you agree to come in this time, have all the healing you're going through, have all the wisdom you're learning, have all the knowledge, and did your soul agree to meet me? Yeah, because I've dealt with thousands of people, and I think that, many times I have been in their past lives. So, the destiny was there, the agreement was there, the contract to meet was there, and the two people won't meet until the actual timing and the frequency, your energy frequency is right. Okay. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it does. Let's move on to Ivy.
I've been stuck with the same job for a long time, no success in interviews, any career change from me. When I ask Spirit about this, Ivy, there is definitely fear in you of moving on. Yeah, deep-seated fear of losing on. Also a fear of lack, that if you move on, you won't be financially stable. But also there's something else going on. There's a part of you, because of this fear, that is putting up with second best. And so you're hovering. Your energy is not 100%. I absolutely must change jobs. It's hovering in between of, I've got to make sure there's enough money. I mustn't take a risk. All right. So when you have a hovering energy, it's pushing forward and backwards, forwards and backwards. And any energy that's pushing forwards and backwards is like a train that can't move. It moves forward for a couple of yards, and then it gets pushed back. So in the end, you stay still. Now, when you go to an interview, you are sending out a signal. And every interview you've had in the past is building a signal about your confidence and how you project yourself and how you send your energy out and what impression you are making. So if you've had interviews which you have not succeeded at, you're not going to walk into the next interview 100% certain and knowing you're going to get that job. Is that true? I mean, it's true, isn't it? Yes, if you've applied for many jobs, gone for many interviews, your energy is going to be lower and less confident. So that needs healing. Yes, that needs healing. And also, Spirit are saying to me to ask you, are these jobs right for you, or are you only going for the interview because you want the money from the jobs? Okay.
Lisa?
Will I find my right career path? I feel a bit lost. I'm unsure about what I do to do. So, Spirit, tell me a bit about Lisa. Will you find your right career path? They're saying yes, you will find your right career path, and it's not very far away, Lisa. You just need to sit down very quietly and write out a list of what you really, really want, and get clear, and then it can open up for you.
Okay, so I'm going to go on to the chat now. Some of you sent in some questions before, but we seem to have lost them because we got lost out. Some of you have resent them, but if you haven't had your question answered, do you want to send it in now? Laura, we've already done one for you, so I'll come back to you, but I know you sent something else in around me, and I will contact you tomorrow, so thank you for that. And Lisa, why do I run patterns of fear of loss, being alone, and the wrong relationships?
Well, first of all, I would not say you're in the wrong relationships. I would say you're in the relationships that exactly match your frequency. So if you think you can't meet a decent man, if you truly believe this at some deep level, even if it's unconscious, you will meet the frequency, the man who's your exact equal energetically. So are they the wrong relationships? Because I know from your past track record that you have grown immensely from the relationships that you've been involved with the last 18 months. And what was the other part of the question?
Fear of loss, being alone, fear of being alone.
Spirit, why does Lisa have a fear of being alone? Past life where you were left out in the snow, Lisa, and left to die in the snow and abandoned. So there's a very big disturbance coming up there. You might feel this now as it goes through. Okay? And the other one?
Well, that was it really. Fear of loss and fear of being alone in the wrong relationships.
Fear of loss, we haven't done that. Okay. So, Spirit, why would Lisa have a fear of loss, please? Because I don't value myself, so I don't believe anyone would stay with me for me alone. There's your answer. Okay? More work on self-esteem.
Okay, yeah, RuPaul, thank you for pointing out that if you send in your chat and you send it to panelists and attendees, everyone can see it. If you just send it to panelists, only we can see it. So that was just to let you know that. I have one, I don't know who this is, JT46. Why am I...
That's Jeff.
Okay. Why am I... I'm not sure it is because Jeff responded on a different one earlier. Why am I impatient and fearful of getting hurt by others?
Because you don't trust you're going to be safe. So there's a distrust of being safe. And also, I see you learning to walk, and I see you standing at the curb by the side of the street, and you're very, very small. And there's a big curb, and you're scared of actually crossing the road. And I think it's when you've started to walk and you're having to do that, and there's traffic coming, and I can hear your mother saying, "Be careful, be careful, be careful, watch out." And lots of fear was instilled into you at that moment. Fear of being hit by a car.
Yeah. I've had a lot of issues to do with my mum. This is Jessica. Is this why I am not a mum yet?
Jessica? Spirit, why is Jessica not a mum? They're saying to me you have had the opportunity to be a mother, and that you didn't think it was urgent, and you didn't think it was a priority when you were younger. Is this true, Jessica? Because they are saying you had the opportunity. So you need to answer me before I can give you any more messages over that situation.
She said yes.
Is that what she said?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've literally sort of put it on the back burner, and now there's lots of distress around it, and concern, and intensity, and that's what's blocking it. That's why you're not a mum.
Okay. Something I want to ask, something people ask a lot, is why can't I break out of these entirely?
Because the time isn't right, and because you're learning something from the experiences you're going through, and because every challenge you go through will make you grow. The thing about us humans is we hate pain. We do anything to get away from it, and we don't like it. And obviously these situations, I mean, if you're fearful of not having enough money. And I remember that one myself. I used to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, night after night after night, having night sweats, having panic, and all kinds of things. It went on for years in a state of terror. And, I could hardly get through the night. And I used to have to, employ lots of healers to handle this and help me through it. Sometimes up to 8 sessions a week to handle this level of fear. And it's very, 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 very painful. And then finally it broke through. But what I wasn't realizing is that all that releasing going on there was preparing me to be a very clear channel for the work I now do. And I didn't know that at the time. And it's because we don't know the end product of what these challenges are about. So Lisa, you will have the relationship, you will, because you're determined enough to keep on with your healing. Rimini, you will have your career because you're determined enough to keep at it till you get the other side of it. And Emma, you will have your relationship that you want, because all you girls are very, very determined to keep going and uncover whatever is the next stage. But it isn't pleasant.
Yeah, and that's where the healing comes in.
Well, the healing makes a huge difference because first of all, you can calm down and feel normal, yes, for a while until the next layer comes up. And also it explains to you why you're going through these things.
Yeah. Okay. So, Agni, why do I keep moving from place to place and never seem to settle?
Spirit, why does Agni keep moving from place to place? You have a fear of staying in one place because you were part of a sort of nomadic tribe. And if they stayed too long anywhere, they wouldn't have survived. They had to keep moving on. So do you have this desire to move on in springtime? And during the seasons, you might find it's autumn and spring, because I can see this tribe and they look like they've got yaks. Where's that? Mongolia. I'm seeing a country like Mongolia here, Agni. Past life in Mongolia where there was constant movement forward, and always had to be aware of weather conditions and shifting and changing. So you're still under the influence of that, but I can ask for that to be healed. Yes.
Okay. Can you pronounce, because I never pronounce this lady's name right, and I need you to pronounce it for me.
No.
That's it. I have a pattern of always trying to lose weight, have success, but never long term. My twin is slim and fit. We are not identical.
Yes, so immediately Spirit jumped in there, Blonde, and said, you don't love yourself enough to stay slim. It's a lack of self-love. So that is the lack of self-love. The lack is being filled up by too much food. Yeah. So that's why you can't sustain it, because you need to do some work on not loving yourself consistently, not loving your body enough. If we really, really love our bodies, yeah, we think twice about what we put in our bodies. We won't put in stuff that disturbs us. We will choose very carefully what we're putting in, because your body is a temple and it's sacred, and you can't even be on this earth without in your body. And it's surprising, really, what people do to their bodies. They would never do it to their cars, ever. Yeah. Imagine if you were a car and that you spent all week having premium petrol put in you, yeah, and at the weekends you just had the lowest quality diesel chucked in from Friday night to Sunday. It wouldn't work, would it? And that's what we're doing to our systems.
Why do things slip away from me when I almost have them in my grasp? That's Amanda.
Spirit, why does Amanda have runniness pattern? You don't believe you can have them, Amanda. There's some, I see children all sitting around with pass the parcel. And I think you were given the parcel and you thought it was yours and then you had to give it up. Okay, something like that's going on. And there's a fear of keeping it. So you couldn't keep the parcel because there was too much pressure on you to move along. And because it happened so quickly and so instantly, and because you were very tiny, made a big impression on you. So we just ask for that memory to be cleared. You might come on the healing calls tomorrow and get that cleared.
Okay. Let's just do a couple.
We're
here.
nearly out of time, actually. Can you believe this?
I know, but we've got about 6 more questions on there and about 3 on here. Do you think? It's pushing her.
Yeah, she always likes to work me like a cart horse. Everybody, I'm the poor horse that trudges up the hill. You know that horse in the First World War film. Yes, with trudging up the hill, carrying all the guns.
Right. Okay, Michelle. A new cycle is starting. I feel I have a purpose, but I'm confused on direction.
Well, that's quite simple. You just need to heal confusion, because once confusion is healed, you will calm down and your direction will come in without you pushing and trying. Yeah.
And then Bernice, how to break free from old, unhealthy and non-serving habits. This happens to me a lot. Get very conflicted between the old and the new, but scary and uncertain. That's what happens to me.
We're talking about this,
Bernice, yeah.
Right, let me just have a concentration. This is that you do not trust that you're going to be okay, and you don't trust that you're going to be safe. So the analogy I used about the train going forward and backwards, that's what you're doing. But it's just a sense of feeling unsafe, lack of safety. So if you start writing out, Bernice, I don't feel safe because, I don't feel safe moving forward because, and just keep writing the answers out over and over and over. And this would apply to everyone listening tonight in things that you're not able to control. And keep writing the answers out till you're so bored and it just becomes boring to you. You can't be bored anymore. And then a lot of the pattern will have lifted. Yeah. Okay,
great. Bernadette, why can't I manage without my antidepressants?
Have you had your hormones imbalanced, Bernadette, recently? Because Spirit talking to me about your hormones, and it's something's happened to shift your hormones slightly out of balance, and so the antidepressants are balancing that. Yeah.
Navita, how to overcome the fear of losing my relationships and heal the pattern of self-punishment.
So Navita is asking me, Spirit, about overcoming her fear of losing relationships. So you are afraid of losing your relationships, Spirit is saying to me, because you do not feel worthy of keeping them. You don't feel worthy of keeping them because in your last lifetime, it was a very difficult lifetime. You were abused very badly and you were told over and over again you were worthless. So you've carried this worthlessness through this lifetime, Navita, but it is being healed and you are gaining wisdom. And a compensation for that was you were given very high intelligence in this lifetime as a gift to compensate for what happened last lifetime, so that you can unravel all this and move forward. You are very intelligent, aren't you? They're telling me you're extremely bright. This is true. So that's your compensation, because the soul asks for certain gifts, yeah, to make sure it can complete what you came here to do this time. Yeah.
Okay. Jackie, I've always felt something special is going to happen. I consider myself to be lucky. So why do I often feel disappointed, let down and unfulfilled?
When something special is going to happen, sometimes it can be a story by the ego. And it can be a story by the ego to keep us in non-action. So feeling special, I'm sorry to have to say, is an ego trip. And sometimes people say, I've got something very, very big here to do. I know I've come here to do something really big. And what they find out 2 or 3 years later is they didn't come here to do something big. It was just part and parcel of the soul journey. And when we open up on a soul level, the ego loves to play games and tell us we're special and tell us we're amazing and tell us we've come here to do something, but it will keep you limited. So just release needing to feel special. If there's a resistance in you to this, that will prove it's ego. And if there's, I know I'm special, that will be ego. And once you've released needing to feel special, things will open up for you and you can move forward more easily. You may well be special, but if you're thinking you're special, I think it's ego.
I think we've done Michelle, haven't we? Yeah. Malcolm. Okay, so he's been a very giving and helpful person most of his life and gets a lot of pleasure out of giving, but his stepson of 12 years does not respect anything that's done for him, and he flares up at Malcolm a lot, no matter what he does for him. They're currently at odds with each other. Is this for anything to do with our past lives? And I need this to be
Okay,
healed.
so this is interesting, isn't it? So Malcolm, so you have been perhaps too giving? Have you been a little bit too easygoing? Did you fear that you wouldn't be accepted by this child when you first met the child's mother? Because that's what Spirit are telling me, and I'm getting a big yes there. I think you didn't think you would be accepted, and I think you were trying to make sure everything was going to be running smoothly. And also, in your own background, when you were young, were you also the type of person that wanted harmony in your home and harmony between your parents? And that you went out of your way to try and make sure everybody was happy? Because I think you're running a pattern of I've got to make everybody happy. I think we'll get a yes from Malcolm any second now. So let's look at this child. Spirit, show me what's going on between Malcolm and this child.
Yes, Malcolm says.
I think the child feels stifled by you. I think the child feels too stifled by the amount of love and attention you're giving. And I think this child feels that he wants to be free and he wants to make his own mark in the world. And he's feeling a bit sort of constrained by you and all your caring. So he's trying to find his way. He's an independent soul. His soul path is independence. It's not about dependency. So he's withdrawing from you because he's got to find his own personality and he needs to be in that independent state. So I'm just asking, is there a past life with difficulty? No, this child is teaching you to pull back and stop trying to make everybody happy, because that's a dependency in you needing to do that. And you have come here to allow him to be free. So you need to take your foot off the accelerator, which will not be easy for you.
I'm just putting a
They're teaching each other freedom. Teaching each other freedom, Malcolm.
I've just put the link to the Facebook page up. I'm just putting it to everybody, because if you've got a Facebook account and you haven't liked it yet, could you please like our page, because we're nearly at 1,000 now.
Are we?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Let's just do a few more. Bernice, I think we may have answered your question a bit earlier. You've come another one on there. And Mary Rose, I have an uncomfortable life. Will it change?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely on its way out. You've gone through the worst, they're telling me. I see the Fool card coming up in my head. The Fool card. The Fool card is a lovely card, Mary Rose. It talks about somebody who throws off the past, becomes very young, very light, and stands on the cliff edge and hasn't the foggiest idea what's going to happen to them next, which I think you feel a lot of the time. Goodness only knows what can happen next. You've had very difficult people around you, people that you've gone out their way to be difficult and critical. But you are very critical of yourself, and you're very demanding that you produce perfection. I certainly don't demand nearly as the level of perfection you do. You are very demanding of what you do in your work and the level of perfection you give. So that critical, demanding self needs to go. It's a bit too much, yes. Now, Spirit, what does Mary Rose, let me see this critical bit. What's it up to? What are you saying? It's telling me you're not good enough. Well, we're fed up with this critical bit, aren't we, Mary Rose? So let's just tell it it's got to, what off, and give it its marching orders. And it's telling me it's got a lot of control over you. Well, it hasn't, because we've just discovered it tonight, and we're just telling it where to go, and Spirit will just get to work on that tonight. And then if you're on the call tomorrow, we'll finish the job tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, 2 more.
Okay.
Ruth, What is the block I have to bringing money into my business and life?
Oh, yes, I looked at this earlier, Ruth. This was very interesting. In your past life, you squandered a lot of money, and you gambled. You gambled a lot of money away, and you lost your money. And it was a past life on the tables, roulette tables, or something of that nature in France. So now you have a fear of gaining the money, which you don't know about because you think you're going to lose it again. That needs healing.
So we can send you the details of the calls.
Yep.
I don't try and put a link on here because I think I might lose people. So if I go and
I think that's what happened before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we lost you for a minute.
Yeah. So let's just do one more, which is Vicki. All the time, Vicki pushes out of her comfort zone to learn new things, but she feels incredibly anxious. She wants to learn and grow, but the feeling lives in the pit of her tummy. How can she get past it?
It's going to be normal to feel fear because every time you move out of your comfort zone, we just don't think we're safe as human beings. It's very, very scary for us. So you probably need constant healing. You've got to just put up with it, the fact that you're going to need constant healing.
Yeah. Can we just do one more?
Have we done everybody on these lists
Yes.
here? Okay.
Yeah. Well, everyone who sent a message in, we've done them as much as we can. If you haven't had your question answered, it's because...
Well, I'd say, Sylvia, you haven't had your question?
No, she did, because you answered. Sylvia sent you 2, and you have answered one of the
other
ones.
Right, okay.
And then the ones that you haven't answered are ones that you've told me not to do.
Yes, I'm just saying, Joe, the reason you didn't... we have answered your question through somebody else, Joe. Let's just have a look here. I just want to make sure that Ruth, we've answered your question. Anna,
Yeah.
Lemony,
Yeah.
Ivy,
Yeah.
Lisa, yes. Sylvia, we haven't asked your question. Are there any techniques we can use to find out why our lives are as they are? No. I don't think there are. I think your life is the way it is, Sylvia, because of the way you think. And the way you think is based on your past. So I suppose the answer to that would be investigate very, very carefully the way you think. Yeah? And why you think that way.
Yeah, and I know a few of you are saying that you asked questions, but we couldn't do them all, I'm afraid. I just wanted to answer one more, which was Debra. Why is my life like this? I'm not married and not financially stable.
Spirit, show me why Debra's not married. You have a fear of getting married, Debra, don't you? It's in your tummy, I can see it. Not being told why the fear is there, to be honest, but they're asking me to start shifting it rather than go into a big story for you. And there's lots of fear about moving forward. And so what's Debra's life path, Spirit? Overcoming fear. You have to overcome fear, Debra, and then things will start to change. Yeah, that's the answer for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to send you a recording of this webinar, and hopefully the first half as well, if we didn't lose it in that little technical hitch. So we've also got a new website going live very soon, and
this week, isn't it?
Well, hopefully. I don't want to preempt, but hopefully Friday, and it's amazing, and it will be a lot easier for you to book things. So it'll be very clear. You've got the weekly calls.
You look up at the live.
You've got the full moon workshop, and obviously a one-to-one with Molly if you want to go a lot deeper and have private guidance as well as private healing. And then we have the healing circle as well. So 4 elements to having healing with Molly. So hopefully that will go live at the end of this week, and we will send you information tomorrow with links to everything that you need. And I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for sending all your questions in. And we shall be seeing you all soon.
Yes, and also, can you just email us tomorrow with anything that's still outstanding for you, so that we make sure that you are all satisfied and you're not left out on a limb or feeling that you weren't answered. And if you did feel you weren't answered and you didn't get your question answered and somebody else got more attention from you, we're looking for that pattern to be released, aren't we? Yeah. So is there anything else I need to say here?
No, just
we really care about you, everybody. And this gift has been given to me to change your lives and to really help you at a very deep and profound level to get what you want and to go where you want to be. Yeah. So use my gift because it's been given to you. That's why it's here. And that's all I can say. It is very unusual. It's very powerful. And it's not mine. It's coming from divine. It's coming from somewhere else. So come on the healing calls. Join the healing circle. Come on the healing workshop if you want, but just use it so that you are moving your lives forward. Okay, so I think that's it, isn't it?
Yes. And if you did want to ask a question and you didn't have your question answered, respond to the email that you got from us. Or the email that you get tomorrow. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.